Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to explore the incredible story of Josip Broz Tito, who he was, why he mattered, and how after his death Yugoslavia fell apart. Let's begin. Josip Broz, later known as Tito, was born in 1892 in a village called Kumrovec in what is now Croatia. He came from a poor peasant family and started working at a young age. As a young man, he became a metalworker and traveled across Europe, where he was introduced to socialist and communist ideas. During World War I, he was drafted into the Austro-Hungarian army, captured by the Russians, and spent years in captivity, where he embraced communism.
When he finally returned home, he became a committed revolutionary.
During World War II, Tito led the Yugoslav partisans, the most successful anti-Nazi resistance movement in occupied Europe. He was a brilliant military leader, determined, ruthless, and charismatic. After the war ended, Tito didn't just free Yugoslavia from the Nazis. He took power and created a new country, the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a federation of 6 republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Macedonia. Each had its own ethnic majority, its own history, and sometimes deep hatred for the others. Tito's genius was in holding this fragile mix together. How? Through a combination of charismatic leadership, political balancing, and yes, brutal suppression of anyone who challenged the unity. In 1948, Tito did something almost no one else dared. He broke with Stalin and the Soviet Union. Tito refused to take orders from Moscow. This made Yugoslavia unique, a communist country that was independent during the Cold War. He became a founder of the non-aligned movement, bringing together countries that didn't want to side with either the US or the USSR. Tito played the world's superpowers against each other, and Yugoslavia benefited from both sides. But then, in May 1980, Josip Broz Tito died at the age of 87. His death marked the beginning of the end for Yugoslavia. Because Tito hadn't just been a leader, he was the glue holding the country together. Without him, old problems began to resurface. Throughout the 1980s, the economy collapsed. Unemployment, inflation, and debt spiraled. Ethnic nationalism grew stronger. Croats, Serbs, Slovenes, Bosniaks, and others started demanding more power. Political leaders like Slobodan Milosevic rose by exploiting ethnic fears. The federal government was weak. The rotating presidency set up after Tito couldn't handle the tensions. By 1991, Slovenia and Croatia declared independence. Bosnia followed soon after, triggering some of the bloodiest conflicts Europe had seen since World War II. What followed were brutal wars marked by ethnic cleansing, sieges, and the deaths of hundreds of thousands. By the end of the 1990s, Yugoslavia was gone, replaced by several independent countries. Josip Broz Tito's legacy is complicated. He was a dictator who suppressed dissent, but he also prevented civil war during his lifetime. He ruled through fear and force, but also through political skill and charisma. Without him, the country he built simply couldn't survive. In the end, Tito didn't fix Yugoslavia's divisions. He just kept the lid on until the pressure finally exploded. Today, 25th of June, 1991, the Republic of Slovenia declares independence. But not everyone celebrated. In Belgrade, the Yugoslav government refused to accept Slovenia's departure. The Federal Army, the Yugoslav People's Army, or JNA, was ordered to intervene. On 27 June 1991, the conflict began. The Slovenian territorial defense and police forces resisted fiercely. Hold the line, block the roads, don't fire unless fired upon. The Slovenian strategy was smart: ambushes, negotiations, and control of key border crossings. Meanwhile, JNA soldiers, confused and demoralized, found themselves isolated. In just 10 days, Slovenia turned the tide. Casualties were limited, around 44 lives lost, but the political outcome was monumental. A ceasefire must be respected. A 3-month freeze on independence will be agreed. On the 7th of July, 1991, the Brioni Agreement was signed. the Yugoslav army began withdrawing. Slovenia had effectively won its independence. The 10-day war was short, but its impact was lasting. Slovenia became the first republic to successfully break away, peacefully, from the collapsing Yugoslav Federation. In 1991, the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia was unraveling. Among the first to seek its own path, Croatia. Croatian President Franjo Tuđman. Today we proclaim the independence and sovereignty of the Republic of Croatia. But independence would not come easily. Inside Croatia, ethnic Serbs, supported by the Yugoslav People's Army, the JNA, rejected the move. In Serb-majority areas like Krajina, tensions erupted into open revolt. Yugoslav tanks rolled in. Croatia, poorly armed and largely unprepared, faced invasion. One name became a symbol of Croatian resistance, Vukovar. Croatian soldier whispering to another, "We hold as long as we can, for Croatia." For 3 brutal months, a small Croatian force held off a massive Yugoslav assault. But in November 1991, Vukovar fell. After the fall, horrific atrocities followed, most notably the Vukovar massacre. Despite early defeats, Croatia organized. The Croatian army grew stronger. Diplomatically, Croatia gained recognition from the European community and the United Nations. Yet peace remained distant. Throughout 1992 and 1993, bitter battles raged across the country. In 1995, Croatia launched decisive offensives, Operation Flash and Operation Storm. Croatian commander yelling, "Push forward, retake our towns." In just days, Croatia recaptured vast territories. The war was nearing its end. But victory came with tragedy. Tens of thousands fled, and the scars of war ran deep. In December 1995, the Dayton Agreement brought peace to Croatia and to Bosnia, formally ending the wars in the former Yugoslavia. The Croatian War of Independence left over 20,000 dead and countless lives changed. But Croatia endured, rebuilt, and today stands as a free and sovereign nation. On March 1, 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina voted for independence. But Bosnia was home to 3 major groups: Bosniaks, Muslim; Serbs, Orthodox Christian; and Croats, Catholic, divided not just by religion, but by visions of the future. "We will never accept the breaking apart of Yugoslavia. We will defend Serbian lands," said Serbian leaders. In April, Serb forces, backed by the Yugoslav People's Army, launched attacks across Bosnia. Sarajevo, the Olympic city of 1984, fell under siege, a siege that would last nearly 4 years. Snipers and mortars terrorized civilians. Every day became a fight for survival. Across Bosnia, a brutal campaign of ethnic cleansing unfolded. Villages were burned, families torn apart. In towns like Prijedor, Srebrenica, and Foča, unimaginable atrocities were committed: systematic killings, rape, mass expulsions. By 1993, even former allies turned against each other. Bosniaks and Croats, once united against Serb forces, clashed in central Bosnia. In July 1995, in the UN-declared safe area of Srebrenica, Bosnian Serb forces, led by General Ratko Mladic, overran Dutch peacekeepers. Over 8,000 Bosniak men and boys were massacred, the worst atrocity in Europe since the Holocaust. Facing global outrage, NATO finally intervened. Airstrikes targeted Serb positions. Croatian and Bosnian forces regained ground. In December 1995, after intense diplomacy, the Dayton Agreement was signed. Bosnia and Herzegovina would survive as a single state, divided into 2 main entities: the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Republika Srpska. The Bosnian War killed over 100,000 people. Millions became refugees. The scars are still deep, but amidst the ruins, Bosnia endures, a land still striving for peace, reconciliation, and a future beyond war.